In today's video, I'm actually revealing the best purchases, investments, or money that I've spent in my own food photography business to ensure that I get to the six-figure mark and consistently make money year on year. Now, surprise, surprise, most of these are actually not gear related. So stay tuned to find out exactly what these investments are. And of course, I've saved the best for last. So make sure you watch right till the end. Now, before I actually dive into the exact investments, how much money I spent and on what, I actually want to preface this video by saying two things. Number one, I truly believe that in order to make money, you need to spend some money. And number two, whenever you're thinking about making an investment, always think about the return on investment or the ROI it will have on your business. So especially when it comes to larger amounts of money. As an example, if I'm going to be spending $5,000 on a website or say $5,000 on a new camera, I need to ask myself questions like, what's the return I'm going to get? Am I going to be able to recover my costs and actually make money on top of that? Is it actually going to increase my profits? Is it actually going to make me more money than what I'm currently using or what I've currently got? And besides the money side of things, is it actually going to give me back any extra time that I can then use in other parts of my business to grow it? Not all return on investments or ROIs are money-based or monetary. Some of them can give you freedom. Some of them can give you your time back. And some of them can up-level your skills, which in turn can lead you to be able to charge more. So always have in mind what the return on investment is going to be for your business or you personally. So with that out of the way, let's dive in. Now, the first purchase that really made an impact on my business was having a professionally done website, including branding. Now, does that actually mean that you can't do your branding yourself using Canva and make your own website, such as a platform like Showit or Wix, or maybe even buy a template and customize it? Absolutely not. You can certainly make your own website and your own branding when it comes to your photography portfolio, but the kind of clients that I was targeting had larger budgets and larger expectations, which meant that they actually wanted to work with photographers that were on par with them when it came to quality and excellence. And not just quality and excellence when it comes to your skills. Quality and excellence when it comes to appearances as well, because you know what? Appearances do matter when it comes to photography. And you aren't just judged on the quality of the photographs you produce, but your overall client experience, right from when somebody lands on your website or on your Instagram, through to when they actually sign a contract with you, and then all the way through to image delivery. So I'd say I probably spent about $2,500 at that time having a professional designer come up with branding for me, including brand colors, fonts, as well as building out my entire site. Now, with this new site that cost me $2,500, I actually felt a lot more confident when I was pitching to brands. I also felt a lot more confident when I was sending quotations that had multiple zeros at the end because I felt like my appearance matched the quality of my photos and my service. And that actually helped to build up my confidence in general. And then finally, having this on-brand website was also a chance for me to stand out amongst other food photographers by having that strong online presence. Okay, the next thing to make a really huge impact on my business that I had to spend money on was software. Now, it's likely you'll be using some form of software in your photography, such as Lightroom, or perhaps Capture One, or even Photoshop. Now, recently I decided to invest in a perpetual license for Capture One, which in my opinion is an absolute must for food and product photographers who are working with clients. Now, in this video, I'm actually not diving into why Capture One is the best software on the market. I already spoke about that in this video over here, so you can check that out. But the ROI on this was that number one, buying a perpetual license meant I wasn't actually paying for something on a monthly basis or even on a yearly basis. And number two, a program like Capture One was able to speed up my workflow, both at shooting as well as editing. So any time that was saved in that was actually used for other parts of my business to increase my revenue, such as pitching, for example, or marketing myself on Instagram, or working on my SEO, or even just taking a break and enjoying my free time. So this perpetual license cost me around $600. And you can see that not every purchase has led to a monetary ROI. This one gave me time ROI. So always bear that in mind. All right, let's go on to the next investment that helped me to make more money in my business, and that's actually hiring and outsourcing. Now, the two main ways that I actually outsource my work as a food photographer is number one, having a VA or virtual assistant that helps me with my cold pitching. I now have a proper process in place from coming up with a list of ideal clients that I want to work with, that I want to cold pitch to finding their email address, to customizing an email template, to reaching out to them, and then having a proper follow-up system in place. Now, right at the beginning of my career, this is something that I actually used to do myself, and I teach this whole system to my students inside Food Photography Bootcamp. You can find those details in the description box below. But the whole process of pitching takes time. And so now I actually outsource that to a VA who I've trained myself so they know exactly what to do. Again, this has actually freed up my time that I can now use elsewhere in my business. Now, the second hire I've made within my food photography business is to hire a retoucher to help me with editing. Can I edit the photos myself? Absolutely. But it's all about making my life easier and making my business more profitable and freeing up my time to be the CEO of my food photography business and doing things that nobody else can do. So the retouching can be done by somebody else. Creating a reel with my face on Instagram cannot be done by anybody else. So always outsource those tasks that can be done by other people to free up your time to do those tasks that nobody else can do. Now, in case you're wondering what platform I use to find freelance employees such as VAs or retouchers, then Upwork or Fiverr is a great place to start. And the cost of this investment is between $200 all the way through to $2,000 on a monthly basis. Okay, on to the next investment that I've made in my business. And this hasn't been a one-off investment, but something that I continually invest in since the last 13 years. And that's either paid workshops or courses or even one-to-one mentoring sessions. Now, before I jump into what courses and workshops I've personally done, let me tell you the reasons why I even do these workshops. So number one, time is really money. It's that one resource that you can't really buy or make more of. So if I want to learn something, I want to learn it as quickly as possible and waste as little time as possible. And the best way for me to do that is to actually learn from somebody who already knows that subject inside out and has already done what I want to do. Sure, I could learn from YouTube. I could spend time Googling and experimenting on my own, but I really want to get to the implementation stage or the finish stage as fast as possible. So that's probably the number one reason why I prefer to hire somebody to teach me something I don't know rather than spending the time trying to figure it out myself. Now, another reason I continually invest in myself through courses is that I have direct access to the teachers that I'm buying courses from or workshops from, which means that if there's anything that's specific to my situation, I easily can get an answer from my mentor. And trust me, when it comes to food photography, when it comes to lighting, when it comes to business, YouTube is not going to be specific to your situation. It's not going to be specific to your light, to your window, to your behind the scenes. And that's where I found it really helpful to have a mentor that I can quickly send a BTS image to, or somebody that I can share a little video with and ask for very specific advice and get like a personalized response rather than asking on a public forum like YouTube where my question may or may not get answered. And then the third reason why I like to invest in courses and workshops is accountability. If I'm actually paying for something, I've actually got skin in the game, and it's more likely that I'm going to complete the task or get to the end goal or complete the course and also do it at a much faster rate than if I'm just randomly sitting on YouTube or Google. So these are the main reasons why I prefer investing in one-to-one help or workshops or online courses rather than just relying on the internet to get the answer. So having said that, let's go through some of the courses and workshops that I've done to help me with my food photography business. So my first course was a basic photography course to acquaint myself with my camera in manual mode. Now, I did this locally in person at a photography school, and it just really helped me to become really familiar with all the buttons on my camera and basically learn how to operate it in manual mode. The cost of this course was $300. I then also did a workshop with Gentle and Hires in Seattle, where I spent a weekend with an amazing group of students and photographers on an island. It was just really great to be able to watch two pros whose style of photography I loved and see what their workflow is, what their thought process is like for things like composition and editing, as well as lighting. Now, the cost of this workshop for a weekend, including flights, was around $4,000. And then on that same trip, I actually spent a couple of days with my food photography mentor, Matt Armendariz, at his LA studio. I was able to be a fly on the wall in his studio and just look at his process, his behind the scenes for shooting food. And Matt is also the person who actually taught me how to use artificial lighting. So I spent a couple of hours watching him build a set, and then after that, he actually asked me to build a set for him. Now, artificial lighting can be a little bit hard, and I felt like I needed a little bit more time. So I actually booked a one-to-one consultation with a lighting specialist at a local photography school. This is the same place where I did my initial manual mode course. And the reason why I did it one-to-one this time was because my questions were very specific to food photography and lighting for food photography. So I knew that the group classes wouldn't be appropriate for me, as those lighting classes covered things like portraits and events and weddings. And since food is so different from all of those genres, that's why I actually opted to do a one-to-one mentoring as opposed to a group class. So I actually spent half a day honing my artificial lighting skills, and the cost for this was $1,000. Along the way, I've actually invested in hundreds of courses, but the most recent course that I just enrolled in about a month ago is actually a money mindset course. Now, whilst I teach pricing and marketing and learning how to make money in food photography, even I, as a mentor to my students, need to have a mentor as well. Because you know what? Your learning is never done. And I personally felt like I was coming up with money mindset blocks around my own prices and my own worth, both as a food photographer as well as an educator. So I'm actually currently enrolled in this money mindset bootcamp. And even within a month, I can tell you it's made a tremendous difference, not only to my revenue, but also my outlook and my confidence. Now, this bootcamp cost me around $2,800. And again, I like to look at the ROI. What am I going to make at the end of this? Well, for me, I'm hoping to uncover and unblock some of my money mindset issues that I have. And this in turn will help me to raise my prices from what they are currently and make more money and revenue in my food photography business. So for the cost of $2,800, I know I'm actually going to make thousands and thousands more, so it's actually a no-brainer for me. Now, like I said before, always look at what you're spending and then how much you're going to make from it to gauge whether it's actually a good investment for your business. Okay, on to the next investment that I've made in my business that's really helped to catapult my business is investing in artificial lighting. Now, I've made several videos on artificial lighting, so I'm not actually going to dive really too deep into the ins and outs of artificial lighting or gear in this video, but here's what I spent and what the return was. So in terms of gear, I probably spent about $3,000 purchasing artificial lights. And in case you're freaking out and thinking, oh my God, is that how much I need to spend? Absolutely not. I actually decided to go for top of the range at that time, which was Profoto, which I didn't really need. And if you're actually just starting out, then I recommend you watch this video where I actually break down the perfect lighting setup for beginners who are actually just looking to get started with artificial lighting. And that setup literally costs under $400. So don't think you need to spend thousands and thousands. But here's why artificial lighting was such a no-brainer for my business and how it helped to catapult me from 5 figures to 6 figures. Now, first of all, I was actually able to take on a lot more work because now I was no longer working according to daylight hours. And number 2, the big one, I was actually able to take on commercial clients that are used to working out of studios that don't have any natural light. So before, whenever I would be contacted by such commercial clients, I actually had to turn them down and make the excuse that I only use natural light because I didn't know how to use artificial lights. But now with my newfound skills, I could actually work with a whole new set of clients, and commercial clients have much larger budgets than, say, restaurants or smaller brands. And so I was able to make a whole lot more money in my food photography and charge much higher prices, especially when it came to licensing, and then finally break that 6-figure barrier. Now, I've actually saved the best for last, and before I reveal that investment to you, if you're looking to get started with artificial lighting, I have a free live class where you can learn the only 3 steps you need to becoming an artificial lighting ninja, including what equipment you need to be using based on your needs and whatever stage of food photography you're at. These are literally the only steps you need in order to master artificial lighting. And I'll also be covering how to make your lighting look as natural as possible. So the link for that is in the description box below. I'll also be hosting a Q&A at the end so you can ask me any questions you have about food photography or artificial lighting. Okay, on to the very next investment that has really helped me to make more money in my food photography, and it's really helped me to stand out as a food photographer, is investing in backdrops. Now, you're probably thinking, how on earth has that made you more money when you're actually just spending more money to buy these backgrounds? So, in a few ways. Number one, not all my clients have access or budget to a food stylist. So having my own bank of food photography backdrops means I'm still able to create stunning food photos without a help of a food stylist. And then number two, the backgrounds you own really form the basis or the foundation of your food photographs. And they can also help to become your signature style. So investing in the right pieces can really help you stand out as a food or product photographer and command higher prices. So now I basically have hundreds of backgrounds that I can cherry pick from depending on what my clients' needs are. Now, if you're looking to purchase some new backgrounds and you want to see what my recommendations are, then make sure you check out this video where I discuss my favorite backgrounds for food photography, including where I buy mine from. I'll catch you in the next video.